That is one of my favorite albums of Iron Maiden. Like Seventh Son of the Seventh Son is like, it has to be like their most I think before the, like the 90s, right? Before the 2000s, most experiment, damn it, experimental albums. See, I got it. If I try to say it slowly, I get it wrong. But if I say it fast, I get it okay. Not perfect, but okay. Welcome everyone to the stream. Thank you for joining me here on Plungecast. We are going to be looking at part 3 of the Shincheonji cult that's moved into the South Pacific and basically poaching members from other churches, and rather than going out seeking their own flock, right? Not only that, very suspect, but the sad news is, sadly, the stream we're going to do, like the second part, has been taken down by our own national TV channel that did the reporting. So we got number 1, but this has just happened, right? Like within when was it? Like, doesn't even say when, right? It's just gone. Hasn't even been a whole month yet. They've already taken it down. And only 31,000 people got to see it, about 32 almost. And we didn't even get to see the second part, right? Remember, she was going to go, hey, they've decided to come and meet us. They're second in command, right, in New Zealand. And now, and behold, there is nothing. It's gone. The whole 20 minutes of reporting, the TV 1 hour, right, of reporting on investigation into this thing. And it's been taken down, like, by, available in your country? What? I'm in New Zealand? Let me refresh. Let's see. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I can be wrong. I'm often wrong. So what's going on? Why isn't it? Has made this video unavailable in your country? So I know I'm in New Zealand right now because I turned my VPN off. So this is weird. Maybe I need to go to Australia, maybe overseas, but this is strange. I'll go check that out in a minute, right? Just to be sure, because I was like, oh, it's gone. However, let's watch, all right, something from them anyway, because I don't want to leave you guys hanging, hang out to dry, all right?
No mai, hoki mai. A secretive sect and alleged.
So let's watch this 5-minute clip from the same channel, news channel. This is our national news carrier in New Zealand. It's been around for 50 years, 70 years maybe, since we had TV, right? So this is purity of harm and control inside the Shincheonji church. Full investigation on TVNZ, right? So there was like a full one that we were looking at, right? However, we only got the first part. So while we're watching, while you're watching this and I'm listening to it, I'll go and see if my VPN's a problem, because, hey, why aren't they letting me watch this investigation in my own country, done by my own country's news outlet, right? National, not just, it's our main one.
Cult is becoming increasingly popular in New Zealand, especially with Pacific people. The Shincheonji Church, founded in Korea, opened here in 2015 and is in multiple countries across the South Pacific. In-depth reporter Indira Stewart went inside the sect. Here's her exclusive findings.
It's the secretive sect growing in Aotearoa and around the world.
So this is like the sanctuary, and it's the main space where we do our worship.
27-year-old Jared gave up his nursing career to be a full-time volunteer at Shincheonji.
Do you evangelize?
Yes, we evangelize quite a lot.
Well, I'm so sorry. We might not be able to say much about evangelism.
I'm just thinking about the previous question as well. Like, it's quite maybe off the script.
Should I redo it?
This was
You can see that one on part 2, that whole part of this thing. And I had a whole lot of things to say about it, how we won't tell you how we get our members. We can't. We won't. Dude, don't tell them that we go into other churches and other communities and take them from them. We don't go look for our own. We take what somebody else's. It's like we take the food from somebody else's table rather than buying our own. That's the easiest way I can think.
This was one of several interruptions in our interview by Shincheonji's PR person, Alistair Cutter, a former TVNZ journalist, and senior leader, Ulla Bluisht.
I was highly controlled every day of my life.
Laura joined Shincheonji in 2015 and left in 2021.
Like, I had to ask permission to see my family. That is a really controlling environment. And so that is why I would call them a cult.
We must rule all nations in the world with heavenly culture.
93-year-old founder Lee Man-hee claims here he's the only one who can interpret the Bible and that everyone outside of Shincheonji has been corrupted by the devil.
So what happens when he dies? Are we going to have a mass exodus of their members? You know what I mean by exodus, right? Out of this world, physically. We've seen cults do this before, right? There's been terrible, terrible situations with cults who have done this before, where their members have exited, out of this world because their leader has died, or they've been exposed, or their leader has chosen to poison them in some sort of like Heaven's Gate way. They basically drank the Kool-Aid. David Koresh, I think it was the name of the guy, back in like New Guinea, I think it was. Was it New Guinea? Some South American place, right? Back in the 70s. I saw a movie on that. Like, there was a movie made about that when I was a kid. I think it must have been in like early 80s I saw that.
Gained more than 200,000 followers around the world, including hundreds here in Aotearoa.
There is this particular cult that has become popular amongst our Pacific people, and it's out there in the community.
And according to this Shincheonji map, the church is in 9 other Pacific countries.
Are Pacific people the fastest growing demographic in the church?
Yes, definitely.
A former senior leader told One News more than 24 Pacific churches here have signed an MOU with Shincheonji since 2019.
We're not easy targets because we're silly or anything. We're easy targets because of our love for people.
Shincheonji members volunteer here and have signed an MOU with this hub.
Personally, my experience has been very positive.
In the Indian community as well. How's that? Naidu is an Indian name, I know straight away. I recognize it. So there's Nick Naidu, and they've got it amongst the Indians as well. So it's not just Pacific Islanders, guys. It's everyone they can get their hands on, really, by the looks of it. Mainly the poor, all right? Mainly those who are not able to adjust to life because of their background and so on. And usually churches are there to help them, not brainwash them.
I always say that they're a cult.
You think they're a cult?
Yes, I do say that because I think, we've got to be honest about things.
Since August, we made repeated...
I just noticed there that this is a Fiji-based church.
Because I think, we've got to be honest about things.
Since August.
Oh, here we go. So you got Fiji Center, Bula, which is hello, in Fiji, indigenous native Fijian. Also, there's Ratuman. There's the Ratuman Islands. They're very close to Fiji. And of course, you got the Pacific Island. And then you've got, whānau community, family is Maori, which means family. So it's a family community center. And so this is what, I think these guys were in Wellington.
Because I think, we've got to be honest about things.
Since August, we made repeated requests to interview Shincheonji New Zealand's leader, known as Christy. Instead, we were offered their spokesperson.
Don't judge a book by its cover. We've faced a lot of that, but we stand very strong in what we believe because it is based on the foundation of the word.
But it's not, though. It's 100% not, because from what the last 2 streams we did, we looked at how it's actually not based on the Bible. When they say the word, they mean the Bible, and the personification of the word is supposed to be Jesus Christ, the word made whole, right? It's in John 1 John something. Actually, let me look it up. Right, the word Jesus, the word in John, Gospel of John, right? So when you have original text that you base your belief system on, that is your full fulfillment of your belief system, right? If you're a Muslim, your Quran is it. That's it. There's nothing else, right? And so in Bhagavad Gita and Hinduism, that should be it, right? How you live your life and so on. And Bible should be it. And the Torah, which is for the Jews, which is kind of like where the Old Testament, New Testament, which makes up the Bible, right, is for the Christian. Now, if you are basing your religion, if you're calling yourself a Christian, and you're calling yourself a Christian religion or belief system, then it should be on the totality of the Bible, right? Not on some guy saying, I am the way, right? So, which kind of, here you go. It's 1 John 1:14. So where is chapter 1:14? Where are we saying it? I'm just trying to bring up the right. Is it that one? Nope, that's not it. That's what we have to. Let me play this while we watch. While I look for
After this interview, Christy asked to meet for a chat. It was our only chance to get answers, so we recorded the audio. Why have you been comfortable to put other people forward for interviews and not yourself to front the church as a leader?
No, it's not like I didn't want to. Like, as you know.
Will you agree to an interview now? Will you agree to a filmed interview now?
I want to make sure that you write the truth, right?
What are the biggest concerns about this church, Indira?
It's the allegations of harm, manipulation and control by ex-members who told us that church leaders justified lying by using Bible scriptures and said it was okay to lie as long as it was done to fulfill God's purpose. Ex-members say they were advised to hide their affiliation with Shincheonji. They were expected to recruit as many members to the church as possible. They were also expected to report private and personal details about other members to church leaders so that they could get feedback from church leaders. We met ex and current members who gave up their full-time jobs to be full-time volunteers at the church, and the secrecy around the church is probably one of the biggest concerns, although current members dispute the allegations of harm, manipulation and control. We put a request to a Shincheonji church to attend a service in September. That was sent to the Korean headquarters. We still haven't heard back, and now it's December. No one in the public can attend a Shincheonji church service until they complete the 8-month Bible course. And I was invited multiple times over the past 2 years to join the Bible course, which is...
That is weird, right? There's a church. You can't go to it, though. We got to get you all brainwashed about what you're going to find there before you... It's the weirdest thing. I remember when I was going through some issues, right? This is about 96. And I was at home and I just walked into I walked down the road. I was I wasn't really in a good place. So I just walked into the church, sat down at the back and listened to what was going on and then just hung out and talked to the people afterwards. That was it. This is like a ritual you got to go through, right? Prove that you're in that. It's basically out of feeling out thing, right? I reckon it's a feeling out thing where they go, let's find out if this person is good for our cult or not, right? It's like, let's do 10 questions. Are you part of a church already? Yes. Oh, we got him. But just give it an answer. Do you work already? Yes. Oh, damn. Money. Do you have a family who are religious? Yes. Oh, dude, we got more. That's like 5 of them now. Okay. And so on, right? And then you go, so when can I go check out your church? Can I join you? Oh, no. Hold on. We got about another 5 more questions, bud. We got about 8 courses to get you through. Seriously, that is dodgy as F, right? We don't want to let you meet with the rest of the members until we got you all brainwashed. Yeah. Sounds good to me, right? It sounds really, really not a cult.
And I was invited multiple times over the past 2 years to join the Bible course, which is why we began this investigation.
Indira, kia ora. Thank you very much.
Kia ora. And
if you haven't already checked it out, Indira's 2-part investigation.
Sadly, we only got the one, but hey, I did go and suss out my VPN to see if I can get the second part, because it'll be really cool if we get the second part, right? But I don't understand how I couldn't get in New Zealand. Like, what's the deal? So, not available in Australia either. So what the hell's going on? Like, I'm looking at this at the black screen here again. I went and changed my VPN, put the VPN back on so I could be international. And here it is, still not getting me. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch, we're going to watch some other stuff. So this is 7 News, which is Australian. This might be the last part. I thought there was going to be 4 parts to this. So this was done 2 months ago. For 4 months, 7 News journalist Nick Overall has been investigating the secretive religious movement Shincheonji SCJ, which originates in Korea, as we mentioned, and has been growing in Perth as well. Now they're in Australia, so that's really the South Pacific, right? Okay, so this is 7 News Australia. I'll put the link in there. Excuse me. Apologies. Got the burp going on with soft drink. All right.
Every aspect of my life was being controlled. Is this a cult?
Universities have become recruiting hotspots.
We know who they're targeting.
Isn't it weird we keep hearing every aspect of my life was being controlled?
It takes over your life.
You need to be careful. This could be the devil trying to pull you away.
Can I ask you some questions about Shincheonji? Are you the leader of Shincheonji?
Parents just need to be very aware that their kids are not safe.
In cities across Australia, there are growing concerns about a highly secretive religious movement that experts describe as a cult. It's called Shincheonji, a church that former members say came to control their lives, their money, even their relationships. It originates in South Korea and worships a man named Lee Man-hee. Members are taught he will save them from the end times.
He's very clear on that. They worship a man. And I've been saying that, right? Like, what happens when this man dies? Right? He's 96. What happens when this man dies? Their leader, the one they worship, the one they believe is immortal, right? Remember, this thing only started about in the 1980s, mid-1980s.
Some donate thousands of dollars to this cause. Until now, there has been no direct way to contact anyone in Shincheonji locally, leading us on a 4-month investigation to find answers. You're about to hear first-hand accounts of students who have escaped the highly secretive church and a plea from a father desperate to get his daughter out. You'll see Shincheonji recruiting in plain sight as a former member blows the whistle on their deceptive tactics. And we tracked down the local leader to put these claims to him.
Can I ask you some questions about Shincheonji?
We're in Perth, where it's estimated Shincheonji has...
One of the strangest things I find about this is how secretive it is, how much they don't want to talk about it. That should tell you everything, right? Like, if you believe in God, and God is central to your life, right? And and if you have your so-called relationship with God, right, or Jesus or whoever, and this is a Christian, so we're going to look at this as a Christian cult, all right, on the basis of its religion being based on Christianity. So I'm going to look at it, I come at it as a Christian looking at it, right? So if you're a Christian, your relationship with God is supposed to be the most important thing in your life. That doesn't mean you close off the world to yourself, it doesn't mean you don't mix with the world, but it also means you don't hide who you are. Basically the whole thing is like you go out into the world and you tell the world who you are, right? And so that more people can believe in Jesus so that they could also have the good life and a relationship with Jesus, right? However, it's strange when somebody gets asked this, they don't want to be the leaders, don't want to be the one who's speaking. They let their flock say. And then they sit on the side telling the flock, oh, you can't say that. Maybe we shouldn't say that. Oh, maybe you should say this. Maybe. It's very weird because they know it's not it's very tricky, right? What they are putting forward. So they have to be secretive about it, but they want the local people to say how great it is because they want the local people to join up, right? Because they're basically based in South Korea, the cult, right? And I think if you don't look at this and on the basis of the Bible, then you're going to be very confused about why it's so secretive and why it's okay to lie in this thing, right? Because that's the sin. Lying is a sin, right? So you have to mirror whatever the belief system is with the Bible. Otherwise, it don't mean shit.
More than 300 active members. This building on Cambridge Street in Leaderville, a 10-minute drive from the city centre. Windows blacked out, students come and go at all hours of the day and night. At first glance, unassuming, but for the last year, this has been the headquarters of Shincheonji.
This group has just become 300 plus members within Perth, and about 80% of the people inside their families have no idea.
There's a lot of secrecy. There's a lot of spontaneity, people disappearing at all hours of the night.
The classroom buildings are random buildings that are rented. The building is unmarked, the doors are locked, cameras are secured around the outside, curtains are always drawn. Teachers are always monitoring the building facilities to make sure that anyone who is trying to speak out or to oppose the group is being watched carefully.
A cult can be defined as an organization.
We looked at the other one last time, right? When the lady was saying how, like, as a senior member, the one who was like former member, right? She's saying as a senior person, people were telling on each other and then telling it to me what somebody else was saying. So they're watching each other like friggin' spies, right? Bees in a hive, basically watching what everybody else is doing inside the friggin' cult. So that if somebody steps out of line, you can basically go and set them right? Or punish them or whatever you got to do. It's so friggin', the whole idea of like being free and being in a, because like I said, looking at this from the Christian point of view, you're supposed to be in a loving, caring environment so that you two could have a relationship with God. Let me go back a bit on this gentleman. This is Raphael Aaron. It's just like Cult Consulting Australia. So like this segment here is about from the 7 News Australia channel, guys, if you're joining us late.
Is being watched carefully.
A cult can be defined as an organization which denies you the opportunity of individuality, make your own choices, and you become sublimated to this sort of group think of an organization which ultimately takes over your life.
Matt Thomas is a former member of Shincheonji. The psychology student from South Africa says he was recruited on his university campus in 2019.
Matt, how did it begin and how did you first become part of this group?
They would have recruiters that were disguised as university students. So I felt like I was in a sense of, I was in a community of other people that are going on the journey together. They started with just targeting the university campuses and bringing as many, what they call the building blocks, the strongest people to come in first and then be able to build from there.
Look, Shincheonji is probably one of the fastest growing groups that we're aware of. Most people, if you go along into one of those groups, you'd find a lot of them are of Asian background, but there is certainly something to be gained by trying to target Caucasian people.
The classes started off going twice a week on the campus, and gradually it's more and more time that they require. And what I didn't realize is that there was a whole lot of strategies that were being utilized to capture me deeper and deeper into their processes.
Australia could get more with China. Can Australians there are growing fears tonight about a new COVID subvariant.
Cults really breed on uncertainty. They love it because they offer simple solutions to complex problems, and they create some sort of level of connection for people who are feeling threatened by it.
Kind of reminds me of Greta Thunberg, right? Like, stop using coal. Greenhouse gas. It's like it's going to fix everything. It's like, well, what about grandma not getting power? What? Well, what about grandma not being able to heat herself in winter? No, we can't have coal. Right? Simple answers to complex problems. It's bad. coal is bad for the environment. Yes, so what you're going to replace it with? Because people still need to live. You still need to have your phone on, Greta.
Some sort of level of connection for people who are feeling threatened by what's going on around them in the world.
I had no idea about what a cult was. So I started lying to my parents. I started telling them that I was not doing anything Bible related.
It's really grown. It has a strong presence around the campus environment or precinct. And it is something which seems to attract people in considerable numbers.
Their ideal vision is to...
I just realized something that, like, the reason they're going for college students is that college students are more likely to be open about learning new things, right? Because usually that's where, if you watch what's been happening in American colleges, right? That you're there to learn and you're there to have your mind, to be a bit more open to other people's ideas. I learned so much when I was doing film school, right? Having other people's perspectives on life, right? Their experiences and stuff. And also learned a lot about stuff, right? Like especially about media and documentary making and filmmaking and all that. But like, I just felt like the discourse you have with other students, it's interesting because you haven't lived their lives. So it's interesting to find out little aspects of their lives. And that's why, like, you find that sooner or later that you actually jive with someone, or you seem to gel with someone, as we say now, and then you find that others you don't, because they don't have the same background, or maybe they don't have the same sort of ideas about life. But even I had my ideas changed, because I was thinking like, well, this way, and then I was like, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. And the other thing about why they want people, young people, is that you've got them for life. You don't want old people, because old people will, they don't have much going for them. They only have the retirement fund, right? So you can't get much money out of those people. And plus, those people are wiser. They've lived a lot. If you live for 50 years, right, and you're 70 now, well, you're basically useless, because you already are set in your ways about what life and religion is for you as a person, right? You're not going to change your ways very easily like someone who's going to college or student, right, at university. And so and not only that, there's the other aspect, is that then because you're there, then you have all these other young ones that you can bring in as well, right? By young ones, I mean like these are 20-year-old guys, right? Under 30.
To take over all of Australia, basically. And that's what we were taught. That's also what we believe. Australia.
Apologies.
And it is something which seems to attract people in considerable numbers.
Their ideal vision is to take over all of Australia, basically. And that's what we were taught. That's also what we believe.
The impact spread to family who are outside the church. We spoke with the father of a current member. For the last few years, Jim Spencer has watched his daughter withdraw from her family. He fears he's losing her.
Jim, are you concerned that this group has stolen your daughter away from you?
It devastates me that we had this well-structured family environment and relationship, and that is basically gone. A ghost of a shell walks in my house. She's not the person she used to be. She's going to uni. She's met new friends. She's going to a Bible study with university friends. How can that go wrong? And it built up. A few months later, it suddenly was 2 days a week, 2 evenings a week, then 3 evenings a week. And they just hire a class using someone's student card. It's never booked under the group's name, because when I started challenging all the uni...
That's pretty sus, man. Because otherwise they wouldn't be allowed to go in there. So the only way to get in there, and like I said, lying, right? Using a student's name and card, ID card. I mean, I remember I was in and out like late night, morning, early morning, late night, and with the card into our uni, situation. With your ID card, you're in freaking 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, because you got a project due, or that you got to time it around. Like where I was doing 2 jobs, part-time jobs, like painting buildings, while in the nights in the weekends, and then in the nights, I was cooking food for people at the restaurant, at a sports bar. So, late night you get in there, but this is really weird because, like, why would you? It's really deceptive. That's why I can say, like, it's a freaking cult because it's deceptive. Everything about them is secretive, lying, and deceptive, right? And controlling.
And Murdoch and Curtin about these people are using your rooms. They had no record, nothing at all.
Are you fearful that they're trying to steal kids away from their families?
The kids are falling out of uni. They have physically decided that this church is the ultimate thing to do in life, and they've dropped out of their uni courses.
Do you think Shincheonji needs to be shut down?
Unfortunately, just like you get phone calls from people who pertain to be experts at certain fields and wanting you to spend money with them and they're not qualified, I think the art of the con man for many years has fallen into the let's form a religion, let's get tax-free status, and let's get a whole heap of people handing 10% of our money to us.
What are your biggest concerns as a parent?
Look, parents just need to be very aware that their kids are not, they're not safe.
One thing that was really strange, like, about here was this pledge, right? It's like having to write it down. It's like a will, like I hand over my life. Because basically, if you want to be a Christian, you just voice it out. You don't need to write a commitment or such and such, right? Maybe some do, but I think it's a verbal commitment. It's not like a written down thing. It's another form of control, right? Oh, now it's on paper. You said, you wrote it down. You can't go back on this. It's real dodgy, very dodgy.
They're not safe.
Forest Chase here is one of the group's recruiting hotspots. They call it fishing. They're known to target international students and young people on their own. This afternoon, 2 former members who once used those same tactics have agreed to meet us and tell us the secrets of how they target vulnerable people.
Wow.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Good.
I see them.
You see them?
That's them talking to someone sitting down.
Oh, really?
Those 2 girls.
No way.
So you better get
Which
them.
ones? Striped shirt and black shirt right there. So that girl sitting down, you reckon that's the target that they're actively trying to recruit? Wow.
So, note, it's very racist, isn't it? So they get black people to go on to black people, right? Target black people. Because you're supposed to, like, it's because they'll see you in a more friendly way because they're from your own culture, right? Or they're from your own country, right? I always find that very ridiculous because it's like everybody's an individual, as far as I'm concerned. So how I'm raised is not somebody who's raised from India, even though he looks the same as me, has the same ethnicity, has might have some nuances, but he'll speak differently. He will have totally 100% different ideas about life to me. So I always thought that sort of was like, that's why I felt like it's kind of racist when someone goes, oh, you're an Indian, go talk to them. And I had somebody say that to me. I was like, what am I going to say to them? I'm going to say to them exactly the thing I'll say to you. It's not like they'll see me and they go, oh, it's an Indian guy. I'm an Indian. Let's get together. And I'm like, you live in a different country, different area to me. I don't know what your life has been like. I have nothing of connection with you. And I remember one time it happening to me and I was like just sitting there going, oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So when are we leaving? I just felt, that's just me, but I think that anybody doing this sort of thing needs to really think about that, right? About how, it comes off as being very superficial. And of course it is. Like they were saying, this is called fishing. All right, putting the old hook out there, baiting.
Shirt and black shirt right there. So that girl sitting down, you reckon that's the target that they're actively trying to recruit? Wow. Hey guys. My name's Nick. I'm a reporter with 7 News. Can I ask what you're doing here this afternoon?
Oh, we're just catching up. Yeah.
We're told you might be recruiting for Shincheonji. Is that correct?
I don't know what that is.
There you go.
There you go. Lying straight away. Right? The ex-member just said those two other their members, and they're trying to recruit her the way I used to do it. And he asks this, and she goes, no, both of them. Quick as a bug, all right? Because that's part of their thing. It's like lying.
As members of a church called Shincheonji, are you friends with these people?
Denying that you're part of a cult or a church or whatever group, right? Because here goes, my brain just went off, right? Like Bible memory goes, verse goes, if you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father in heaven, right? That's Jesus speaking. Remember, I'm coming at this as a Christian person looking at this from the Christian Bible, right? So they're denying that they actually belong to a Christian church. They're not, even though, it's a cult. They're denying they don't belong to the Shincheonji. Imagine being the leader of the group going, oh, that's all right. You're good because we lie. It's part of our thing. We lie. Man, I was like, if my bros that said like, so Aru, nah, I'll be like, what? So, well, if that's the case, then I don't know you either, bro. That's what I'm trying to get at here. It's like you're denying, right? You're denying something that is part of your life.
It's interesting that if they're all friends, though, they've just left and they've left her by herself there, which is weird. Do you want to go and have a chat to her?
The group you told you about, SCJ.
I just met them just then.
Yeah, just now. Yeah. Did they ask you about like religion and stuff, and then ask you to meet for boba and stuff or something after?
Yeah, they said it was like a uni thing.
Uni thing. Yeah. Then that's not. They're recruiting for the cult, so don't be fooled by their thing. They're trying to recruit. They'll say uni, and then they'll invite you to like boba or like to eat, or they'll invite you to an event.
They seemed to pretend they didn't know what Shincheonji was. Yeah. Is that usual?
Yeah, that's usual normally because you're trying to like hide.
It seems like they've just lied about knowing this person and being friends with her before leaving her alone.
They don't know that person. What the person's probably thinking, do you know them, as in do you, like, you've just talked to them, so do you know them? And so you're like, oh yeah, they're nice and stuff like that. But it's just like a persona that they use.
How often would you have to do recruiting?
Every day.
And they call it...
Holy shit. Every day? Yeah, it's like a job. You got to show up, right? You got to show up every day. No wonder they feel controlled, right? Because like, have you like clocked in today to go find you some fish? That's cereal, man. Like, I mean, seriously, it's like, I can't imagine being so controlled that every day, instead of studying, instead of spending time with your family or having, relaxation, watching TV, whatever, and then somebody tells you, why aren't you out there fishing? You're on today. Oh, well, what do you mean? You're on every day. Turn up every day. Go get me those disciples every day. Get me some more cult members every day. It's like, seriously, listen to this, man. Like, every day. Right?
Thinking, do you know them, as in do you, like, you've just talked to them, so do you know them? And so you're like, oh yeah, they're nice and stuff like that. But it's just like a persona that they use.
How often would you have to do recruiting?
Every day.
And they call it fishing, is that right?
Yeah, they do. When approached like that, obviously they're going to deny. And they're told like, oh, it's persecution, this is what's going to happen. Especially now that we're obviously aware of them and they've seen us and now they're running away.
Shincheonji person will never tell you they're from Shincheonji. And in fact, a lot of them have a fake narrative prepared in case you ask them.
Hold on, I just want to play you guys something. I just realized I've got about persecution of Christians. So a little while ago, I put up a clip. Let me bring it up. In Africa, right, by Boko Haram. Actual persecution. Where are you? Where is it? Is it on the clips? It's just a short video. This mother and her 2 children. Darn it. Is it on the shorts? Apologies, guys. Wasn't thinking about it. I'm kind of doing it on a cuff. Cuff? No, I think it's the wrong word. Must be under the videos. But so it's, because like they're saying they're going to get persecuted because they get asked about who they are. And I thought I'll show you this little clip here. Do I have it, or is it? No, I think I wasn't allowed to put it up because of because it was violence. These African men were with guns were basically beating up on a mother and her two kids who were Christians. These Muslim Islamists were beating them up. But here's a little one. So this is in Egypt. This is about, because we're talking about persecution, right? So pause, bring it up. So we just take a little segue out of there and onto this, and we'll be back on to that one soon. So this is Coptic Christians, Christian villages in Egypt. They had their water poisoned. They're drinking well, right? If in poor villages, they don't have all the pipes everywhere like we do, and this is why I really love it when leftist brain cells go, oh, it would be so much better if we were communism. And I was like, yeah, well, or we were backwards. It's like, do you realize that Fiji didn't have water on the tap until like 80s? We had well, and you had to pull it up, a metal friggin' bucket on it, on a rope. You had to pull it up, and sometimes if it was too heavy, it'll cut through your little kid fingers, palms, whatever, and it'll be really sore. You get rashes or it might bleed. Yeah, that's how we got our water to drink, to bathe in, to wash dishes in. So these guys here basically poisoned their well, their drinking well. That's their well. That's their drinking well. That's the well for the whole village. That's where they draw their water from. Right? All these Islamists are basically kicking rubbish down it, right? And breaking down the wall, because you got to, so that people don't fall in, or animals don't fall in, or little creatures don't fall in and poison it, because dead things in there will spread disease, right? So there's a wall that's there around it, and that wall down. This was I was wondering, why was it so low? It's because they're broken, the walls down around it, the circular wall. Throwing garbage into it, throwing shit into it. They're trying to come and try to protect it, but no, the Muslims want to, poison it. Hey, Shifter, how you doing, man? obey. Yeah, this is from the skateboard 90s skateboard company called Obey, streetwear label as well. I have two of them. I think I have one which is kind of like got this leopard print on it. Yeah. All right. So, I didn't realize it was so small. Sorry, guys. Apologies. Let me just bring it back up with the larger so you can actually see that. Let me bring myself down. Here we go. So you can see the well, right? So there is the well, right? And they're breaking it down. And here they're trying to come and stop it, but damage is already done. This is actual real persecution, because when you can't drink the water, what are you going to drink? You're supposed to have 2 liters of water a day. And that's their one well, right? So when they go, it's persecution because, because when I get asked if I'm from this cult or this group, I have to say no, I'm not. So I'm going to deny it. So they lie, right? So let's go back to this one here. Get rid of that one. We're on the right one. All right, here we go back to it.
They don't know that person. What the person is probably thinking are, do you know them, as in, do you, like, you've just talked to them, so do you know them? And so you're like, oh yeah, they're nice and stuff like that. But it's just like a persona that they use.
How often would you have to do recruiting?
Every day.
And they call it phishing, is that right?
Yeah, they do. When approached like that, obviously they're going to deny. And they're told like, oh, it's persecution, this is what's going to happen, especially now that we're obviously aware of them and they've seen us and now they're running away.
Shincheonji person will never tell you they're from Shincheonji. And in fact, a lot of them have a fake narrative prepared in case you ask them. And they'll say, oh, I'm from this church, or we're coming from this church. We're wanting to do a simple survey that's helping our university studies, which is all fake, but it's to feign innocence, basically, in the eyes of people who are being recruited.
It's not until months later they tell recruits what it is they've really joined. By then, prayer sessions like these have become a regular part of their lives.
Whoa.
This community centre.
That's crazy, right? They get you, they get all chummy with you. They don't let you go to their church straight away. You got to have, 8 sessions, go to 8 Bible studies, whatever their Bible is, right? And then you still don't know that it's a cult. You don't even know what it is, but you're going along to all these meetings, and then months later, then you get to go to find out it's actually part of a cult. Then you're screwed, bro. By that time, it's too late. It's like they got you hooked. You're brainwashed already, right? They slowly poison you. It's like a lobster. Basically, lobsters, right? I cooked some freaking prawns. That's in my head this week, the weekend. It's in my head now. So you slowly cook the prawn. Like with prawns, you can do, it's good. With lobsters, right, crayfish, you got to boil it up slowly, because otherwise it gets tough like that, right? So the meat becomes all chewy and stuff and hard. So this is what's happening with these guys. They're getting slowly, their temperature is getting raised slowly to boiling point, and by the time it's boiling point, they're already in the cult. And then they go, oh, we're part of this group now. Oh, wait, what? Yeah, you signed up, didn't you? Yeah, come along now. You're in.
In West Perth, just one of the many venues they're held. Windows covered by tables. Inside, row after row, chanting hymns in unison. Our investigation led us to John Huang, who members say is one of the church's local leaders.
Looks like he's crossing the road now.
Yeah.
Mr. Huang, Nick Overall from 7 News. Can I ask you some questions about Shincheonji?
Oh, no, thank you.
Are you the leader of Shincheonji?
No, thank you. Sorry.
Were you just having a meeting there?
Sorry. Sorry. Can I not be interviewed right now?
Well, there are some pretty concerning claims from a lot of former members. Will you address those?
Sorry about that. Could I?
Shouts on the car. Do you encourage members to lie to their friends and family?
No, we don't. Sorry.
What is the wisdom of hiding?
That is not something that we do. Sorry about that.
Some members say,
Ooh. I haven't heard that yet. This is the first time I'm hearing wisdom of hiding. Interesting. Let's
say that
find out.
Shincheonji doesn't identify itself until about 6 months after they've joined.
Oh.
Is that true?
That is not true. Okay. Can I please leave?
Can we have your details for an interview?
Sorry
so
about
we can
this.
ask you questions?
Sorry about this.
He refused an interview and refused to provide any details for us to contact the Perth branch for comment.
What is this dude doing in Australia? So shady. So shady. It's weird how, like, I mean, like I said earlier, right? I'm going to like look at this from a Christian point of view. If somebody asks you about your religion and your belief system, you're supposed to tell them proudly, because hey, that's your belief system, right? You can't deny it. Why would you deny it? Unless, of course, you're hiding it, and of course, it's not a Christian organization.
It may be hard to understand how people fall so deeply into groups like these, but former members say the church's tactics are slow and careful. For many people who move to Perth, it's a chance for them to make friends. Some say it's not until months, even years later, they realise how indoctrinated they've become. By then, they're scared to leave, frightened they won't be saved, and worried they're going to be shunned by most of the people they know.
For this group, it's been an...
That's the thing, right? Like, if you're new to an area, you're very easily susceptible to new groups. That was like me when we went down to Invercargill. People were on my case all the time, like myself and my ex-wife. Oh, come along to this, come along to this, come along to this. I'm like, sure, right? And then I realized after a while, I was like, okay, that's a cult, right? Within like about 3-4 months, I was like already part of a cult. Like a cult was. I walked in and they were like on my case. I'm like, okay, see ya. Never went back. I said to my ex, I said, hey, we're not going back there, okay? Okay. And then we found some other place and it was cool. And then it just, the other thing is that then because you're trying to settle into a new place, you know, because we uplifted everything. We went down to study for 3 years, basically 3.5 years, because I wanted to go down there 6 months early so we could like settle. I could get like my get work. She could get work. We could get what we needed to acclimatize to the area, because it was South Island, bottom of the New Zealand, which is cold compared to where we live, which is very warm all year round. And so I wanted to make sure that, you know, I was prepared for my 3 years of study, and I was, you know, made some friends beforehand, worked out everything, and then also, oh yeah, you know, get invited. Okay, there's, you know, this is a group here, you can go join, and you know, maybe that'll help you. Man, I had to pull myself back from so many different people because I was like, I don't want to be around these people. Like seriously, it's like there was some somebody introduced me to some Indian people, and like the husband was a freaking alcoholic, and I'm like, my wife goes, I never want to go back there again. I'm like, okay, because we got invited for Christmas, like, okay. And then again, somebody else, it was like, because they're part of the multicultural group, and I was like, okay, come on to our place for whatever, like dinner, and I'm like, we got there, I was like, what? Were you guys actually expecting us? Because like you guys invited us, and this is a day, and they were like, husband's in the corner drinking and the wife's cooking, and I'm like, we're not alcoholics. I mean, we like a drink now and then, but this is very weird. So that sort of stuff. Like, you got to be really careful if you're moving into a new place. Yes, you do want to, like, find somebody, people that join, hang out with and join, find out. And you got to have a good judgment on your head, man. You got to be really sure of who you are as a human being, right? As a person, before you open yourself up to these groups and stuff, to people, right? Because you don't know what people have their motives, right? And it's really, you can be very easily manipulated if you don't know who you are yourself, right?
An emotional and often frightening journey to leave. Many former members have needed months, even years, of specialised counselling to rebuild their lives. They want others to know that outside the church there is support available.
I didn't see it as a cult. I didn't know what a cult was actually at that time. None of us did, to be honest.
So I thought it was actually a legitimate Bible study group. So I kept going with it. And I tried to ask him, like, this thing doesn't make sense. I don't see the connection of how this book is related to some leader was supposed to follow. I remember when I kept asking questions, they just started saying that, you need to be careful, this could be, the devil trying to pull you away.
My mom organized a session with an exit counselor. That's when I was like, oh, no. I don't want to meet the exit counselor. But then I was like, I'll just meet her and like block the thought. But I still didn't want to let go because of like fear, obviously. I was so scared. I was like, what do you mean you're done with this place? It's like the things I've seen on the internet, it's really bad.
To help, is there any advice or anything you want them to know?
I know you may feel like those inside are the only ones who understand you. And it may feel like that, but your family will also help you, especially when you want to leave.
How did you get out, Matt?
My exiting from the cult, I give thanks to my parents because it was through their interventions. Their efforts went as far as taking me outside of Perth and just trying anything that they could do to block my communications with the group.
Most people that we work with.
That is crazy. That is crazy. His parents had to actually move him away from the friggin' city, right? Perth is a city, but if you don't know Australia, and Perth is like on that side. When you look at the Australian map, it's on that side. So it's like on the east. I always get the east and west mixed up. Western side, whatever, that side. But it's freaky that the only way that his parents could see to get him out of that brainwashed cult thing and all those people around them and around him was to move them away from the entire thing. That's crazy, man. They can see how strong the stranglehold they have on these people. No wonder they don't want to say that they're from the cult, right? That they're from that group.
With the people who need help in being extracted. And the best people to assist in that process are people who've been there themselves in the past.
If there's someone out there watching this story who's part of Shincheonji, what would you say to them?
That mind control is a tactic and a technique that has been used by groups of the exact same nature for centuries. And it's only because this type of thing is not well recognized within Perth.
The general argument you get from people is, well, you haven't been here, you don't know what it is, so who are you to tell us? Support them. At the same time, what's particularly important is not to be judgmental, because as soon as you become judgmental, you are on the outer.
Right, thank
After
you.
Shincheonji found out about our investigation, they posted this letter to 7 News, saying that the claims in our story were based on misinformation and that calling them a cult amounts to discrimination of their religious freedoms. The former members say they're only free now.
So that was Australia, and it's Shifter said it's southwest Australia. So yeah, east west. I always get mixed up with that. It's been forever. Like even when I'm doing comic book and I'm looking at the, Zealandia when I'm working on that, and I'm looking. I actually have a compass on there, so I can look at the map and I go which side it is when I'm trying to write the freaking stories and like where the towns are at, so I can see, because I just cannot recall which way is which. Right. So that's from News 7. The link that was there earlier, I think it was on. Yeah, that was a link for it in the chat. If you guys want to check it out for yourself, or if you want to share it with somebody else that you know that has been looking into joining SCJ, and because I think this is like very insidious, right? This thing is very insidious. Because like for me, like as you know, like I'm always talking about like how like I love my individuality. I love living in the West. I love being a freedom of movement, freedom of speech. You know, just my individual freedom. And to see someone like a religious group like this, basically stymieing, you know, like basically controlling someone like that, it just pisses me off, right? So please, yeah, share about that. Well, the earlier guy, like their leader was, you know, the leader that's in Australia and in New Zealand, they're all Korean. The main heads of departments, right? The leaders of the church, of the cult in each area is Korean. Senior members are, you know, local, but the main ones are always all Korean. So let's see, what else we got? I think I've got a couple more here. Right. So we got testimony of Shincheonji, ex-members. Let me see if this is the right one. Right. So this is coming off a website, but it's actually got a YouTube YouTube channel. So this is Wellington, New Zealand. This is from August 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago. Let's say it's 2 years ago, right? So because it's we're not at the end of 2025 yet. So, and this is from examining the SCJ.com. So they actually have a website for this cult that people are looking into, right? So that's it there. All right, I see what you mean. Possibly, you know, possibly. There were like that whole, you know, in the past with the war and all that. Okay, so there's a link for this. You want to look at other things. So there's a, where is it, like examining the SCJ.com. Now let's go look at this. Let me, okay. Oh, that was loud. All right, apologies, guys. Let's check it out on YouTube rather than on there. So let me give me the right one. Hopefully this isn't blocked. Here we go. So it's in Korean, I think. So this is from 2 years ago, a testimony of an ex-Shincheonji member, Wellington, New Zealand. So this is local, right? The testimony was written and recorded by Vanessa, who was recorded by the SCJ Phillip tribe. They actually have a like tribe name in New Zealand, and escaped while studying the Bible with them. All photos and the video are directly provided by her. So you've got the Korean here.
It all started in February 2021. I had just moved from Auckland and tried looking for a church in Wellington. I was sitting alone in a brand new church, and shortly after the worship started, 2 girls came in and sat next to me. I was a little scared because they chose to sit with me when there were so many other seats. After the worship service, one of the girls took the initiative to chat with me. She shared it was her first time too, and that she was looking for a church.
Remember we said these guys go into other churches and poach from the other churches. So there's this. So Vanessa's here. moved to Christchurch, right? Did she say Christchurch or Wellington? No, she said Wellington, right? I thought she said she moved to. Oh yeah, sorry. She moved from Auckland to Wellington. So Auckland is our main city, but the actual capital of New Zealand is Wellington, which is at the bottom of the North Island. So it's around about 8-hour drive, if I remember right. Yeah, last time we went for a drive, it was about 8-hour drive from Auckland. So she's there sitting, just checking out. So she's already basically from a church, right, in Auckland. Now she's there probably studying. So she's checking out a new church.
I thought we were just
Fresh meat, basically.
having a casual chat, but then one of the girls named Est asked for my WhatsApp and gave me her contact details before she left. Looking back now, that was when I stepped into their trap. For the next few weeks, Est occasionally messaged me, and the three of us met a few times. One day, I met one-on-one with Est. She told me she had to work on Sunday mornings. That's why she doesn't go to church anymore. She said that she attended church online services from her home church in Tauranga instead.
Let me bring up a map so you guys can see what we're talking about here. So map of New Zealand. I mean, the areas we're talking about. Right, which is the better one? Here we go. So this is. So right now I'm over here, right? I'm here. So Vanessa's from Tauranga. She's moved to the bottom here, Wellington. The other girl, S, she's talking about is from here, right? Okay, back to Vanessa.
At that time, she mentioned that she had a mentor. I learned that this mentor is a girl also from Hong Kong and that she wanted to meet me as there were not many Hong Kong people in Wellington. I didn't think much of it, only that I could get to meet a new friend. We met up quite soon after. She called herself Hailey. We met again the next week. I thought it would just be a regular coffee catch-up. However, it turned into a weekly Bible study. Hailey was very passionate in helping both of us grow.
Remember, like how I was saying, like how racist it seems, like like, oh, you're the same culture as her, right? Hong Kong. So she's Chinese as well, right? So why don't we hook you two up? Not that, hey, we came to you, we want to, so we'd be like cool friends, right? But no, we're gonna pass you on to somebody else. Freaking despicable, man.
She had lots of Bible knowledge.
Remember, this girl is looking for friends. She's out of her, what we call out of her depths or out of her fishbowl, right? And she's gone to a new fishbowl, Wellington. And before she could even find her footing, right, in the place, she's already been pushed, kind of like manipulated into all this other thing. That's sick, man. But here's the thing, right? She's young. And like me, when I was like, I could have easily been her, right? When we were down south, when I was talking about that cult, right? This is like about 20 years ago. Yeah, it is about 20 years ago. No, 22 years ago, I think it was. But so when I faced that, so I can understand her position, right? Like I said, how we were ourselves had moved to the bottom of New Zealand from the top of New Zealand, right? And both of us were like knew nobody. And that was the reason for going early. So she doesn't even have a chance to find any legit friends. She's got these fake people.
At that time, I was.
Hold on, let me go back a bit. Hailey. And she said about. She's supposed to go there for coffee, and now that she's trying to get them to. Yeah, I thought it would be just a regular coffee catch-up.
Just be a regular coffee catch-up. However, it turned into a weekly Bible study. Hailey was very passionate in helping both of us grow. She had lots of Bible knowledge. At that time, I wasn't wanting to commit to a regular Bible study. But when I thought about how reading the Bible is something a Christian should do, I continued with these weekly meetings. After a few weeks, Hailey suggested in order for us to learn quicker, it would be better for us to meet twice a week.
Remember when we were talking about the guy, the father was saying about his daughter in Australia? It was like once a week, then it was twice a week, then it was three times a week, then it was every day almost. Total control. Plus the other thing, I think Sheena was saying that, like, the African lady, she was saying about how they had to go out and find new recruits to the cult every day. And basically, she's basically seen as a new recruit, not as a friend, which Vanessa is looking for. But Hailey and the others, the other two, they want her in their cult. I find it despicable. Like, I think the deceptive nature of this, it's insidious, man. Like, someone's looking for a friend, and you pretend to be a friend just to get them on the cult.
I initially felt shocked. Why do we need to be so rushed? But S didn't have any objections and seemed very eager to learn, so I went along with it. I did feel uneasy, as I didn't really want to spend 2 evenings each week reading the Bible with them. However, we kept up with it for a few months. I noticed that Hailey was very interested in whether S or I had mentioned this Bible study group to anyone else. Hailey said that we should keep these meetings confidential, as Satan would.
Dude. Hiding the fact that you're just going along to meet someone for a Bible study, right? And you can't tell anybody about that. That should be a warning signal to say, well, why are these people so secretive about this? It's only a Bible study, right? I mean, pick up the book and anybody can read the book. You can freaking do it online, right? But no, it's from the devil, because the devil, if you you got to keep it because the devil might be attacking you. As she says here, I'm looking at the screen, but like, let's go and have a look. Let me pull back a bit.
Or I had mentioned this Bible study group to anyone else. Hailey said that we should keep these meetings confidential, as Satan would attack us while we are still learning. At the end of May, Hailey mentioned that she had 2 other friends who also lead Bible study group. She said that it would be a good opportunity to meet together with 2 other small groups like ours.
It sounds like, so it's like passing excuse me. It's like they're passing each other up the steps, passing her up and up and up, right up the pyramid. So you got S, the one she's calling S, like the two girls at the start, the white chicks at the start, and now she's gone into the Hong Kong girl, next level, step 2 up the ladder, and now they're going to move on to the next one. See, once you agree to the 2 times a week, they basically got you, right? Because you're like, oh, yeah, we can convince her to come with us twice. Oh, now we can convince her 3 times a week. It's basically that whole lobster thing, right? Slow boil from cold water, slow boil.
Hailey thought we could learn more in the larger group, as Jason, the leader, has studied theology. However, this group met on Wednesday evenings, and every Wednesday I have basketball tournaments.
Now she's got to give up her other part of her life, right? So she's a basketballer, right? So she's got to give up her sports. No, not only she's got to give up 2 days of a week already. Now she's got to give up a third day.
I needed to make a decision between choosing basketball or Bible reading. She gave me time to consider. To be honest, I didn't want to go. I started to feel a bit of resentment towards this group. However, I couldn't bring myself to choose basketball over Bible study. So
that sucks, man. Like the thing that brings you joy and the thing that doesn't bring you joy, right? Remember, she feels resentment from that for that study. So she's not really happy going to it. Yet they make her choose what she enjoys over what she does not like. I feel sorry for her.
I chose to go to these meetings and gave up going to basketball. Bible study group consists of 9 people, 3 teachers, 6 students.
Wow.
Jason was the main teacher.
Why would you need 3 teachers? Who the hell has that much time on their hands? Like when I was running, like I wasn't running any Bible study groups, right? But when I was doing because I still run the drama unit in the church for the youth groups, right? Because we used to put on like skits and stuff. That's how I got into filmmaking. Decided to go into filmmaking and stuff because I enjoyed writing scripts. I enjoyed performing. I enjoyed acting and doing stage work. And so that sort of just a natural flow, right? Oh, why don't you just start one up, dude? And maybe other people, you can teach them. Okay, cool. So at one point there was around about 30 of us, and I was the only one with a group. And I'm like, you had 3 people with 6, and we were just studying like 2 to 3 hours a week, right? Because we had to get ready for performance, and we only performed twice. 2 days. 2 or 3 performances. It was like a 2 hour and a half show, and we studied like for almost like a whole year for it. So it was like, and only was like, okay, once a week. That's all we can do, man. And maybe once every 2 weeks, yeah. And then it'll be like only the main actors, okay, for this week. Or you maybe you extras can do it yourself together, and we'll just our main actors will practice in a really relaxed way, because you don't want to be stressful, right? Because when it gets stressful, then you just want to like, wow, this sucks. I need to get the hell out of this. I don't want to do this. It's not fun anymore. But this sounds, yeah.
Hailey and other teachers would support him. They were very low-key. None of them mentioned use of social media. Their WhatsApp accounts had no profile pictures.
Wow.
I rarely heard them talk about their other friends, and neither of them attend church services. They also rarely took photos. At the beginning, Jason started with teaching the parables in the gospel.
Jason started with teaching the parables of the Gospels. He said it sounded like Jesus. Sorry.
It was also the reason I continued with the Bible study, as I hadn't studied the Bible in depth like this before. Though I may have done so reluctantly, I did learn a lot. But around September,
remember, in part 2, last time I said, if you're interested in the Bible, just read the damn Bible. Honestly, that should be your measuring stick, right? About the religion, the belief system. It's there. Then afterwards, then look at what other people are saying, because that is what's all based on. When you look at leaders, the human beings, then you're like going to get their ideas about it. Just read the damn thing, right? Because that's what your whole, the whole religion is based on, obviously, right? I'm so glad she's away from this shit. But yeah, man, it's like someone wanting to know, and then someone comes along and does this to them. I hate that sort of shit. It's like this whole controlling, brainwashing, forcing them to give up what they enjoy, and like taking up all their time, because really, it's just so claustrophobic to me to have that much of your time taken away by a religious group if you don't want to. And she seriously doesn't want that, right? And not only that, she doesn't like it. Here she's learning from about the Bible. She's enjoying, right? She's not enjoying hanging out with these people because she's obviously her signals are going off. This is weird. Why are they expecting so much from me when all I wanted was to have friends? And the other thing is they don't even have any photos. They don't take photos. What the hell? Everybody takes photos. It's like I was just out there before taking a video of my plant because I thought, man, it's gone from about this big to like this big, and now it's starting to crawl. And I had to go out and then I, because I've been trying to get this plant to freaking grow because at the end of winter, and it wasn't and I left it out in the sun hoping it'll grow, but then it's like it's an indoor plant, and so it needs the warm weather all the time, and I don't have the space indoor to have it, so I was like left it on the balcony where the sun comes in directly on it, and so now that summer, it's shot up to about 40 centimeters, and now there's like this vine that's popping out, right? It's just going round and round this bamboo that I put into it to let it go up, and then I thought, it's on the channel anyway. You can look at it later, but it's just to see her wanting that sunlight, right? Basically, what I'm trying to say, she's wanting to be there. She's planted up, in Wellington, cold, and she wants to meet friends, and she's not getting it. And what she's getting is all this brainwashing, and all these people that do not want her for her as a human being. They want her for her to basically notch up another little feather in the cap. That to me is fucking disgusting.
September and October, Jason started to teach more about the visions and imagery seen in the book of Revelations. Essentially, he said that the second coming of Jesus is now. Christianity has already become corrupt and is being used by Satan.
Yeah, like Scripture said, like the Cold War spy system, and they spy on each other as well. That's the thing. Like while she's basically out here doing these studies, there's someone watching her, right? Hailey or S are watching her, making sure that she's not talking to anybody, right? Probably watching her social medias as well. Is she talking to anybody about our Bible study? Yeah. Right. So the rule of three, you only know the docs of three. Everyone only knows the docs of three. The docs of three different people. Yeah. Cold War stuff. Chinese. The art of war, right? It's I think in this age, especially with how social media is internet is so available to us, we should be so wary about how easily we are being manipulated, right? By what's out online. Because I think information is so accessible now compared to 20 years ago about this. Like right now, this is right. If you look up if somebody tells you, because the problem here is she doesn't even know that she's part of SCJ or these people are part of SCJ. They're just going to Bible study. They haven't told her that they are part of Shincheonji, right? Because all she's thinking is, I'm going to Bible study. They want to be my friends. And what she's getting is these fake people who want her for a number. That's all they care. And maybe money out of her, because why else would they? What use is she to them apart from money and another notch in the belt? Because they want to take over the world. That's what they're saying. We want to take over the world.
Maiden. God hopes that his people can escape from it and go to the new heaven and new earth he has prepared for us.
Let me go back there because I think let's go back right to about
Jason started to teach more about the visions and imagery seen in the book of Revelations.
Oh yeah,
Essentially,
doomsday cult. Anyone who bases their belief system about revelations, end of the world, end of days, is a doomsday cult. Because, and this is why I worry about all these young ones and older ones in there, because their whole thing is around a 96-year-old dude. And they believe he's the one, right? The only way to God. What happens when the only way to God is gone for them? And their brainwashed brains realize that he isn't immortal. He is dead. How do they talk to God anymore? Their connection to God is severed. Severed, right? Severed. That's where it becomes very dangerous for these guys, because it's a real crazy setup. Let me see if I can get rid of. No, it's not. Yeah, I thought I'll get rid of this. It's both in Korean as well as in.
he said that the
Yeah,
second
here we go.
coming of Jesus is now. Christianity has already become corrupt and is being used by Satan. God hopes that his people can escape from it and go to the new heaven and new earth he has prepared for us. God's people should hear this and take action to witness the fulfillment of the prophecies written in the book of Revelations. Jesus' first coming was the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies. The second coming is when Jesus has chosen another person whom he will speak through. He will tell people that it is the second coming now, and that prophecies from the New Testament are already being fulfilled. Throughout this, the teachers never mentioned who this person was.
Wow. They keep saying there's somebody, that's the new leader, but they won't tell them. How deceptive. Because it sounded all right until then, because she's like, yeah, who is this?
Who they believe God's people were, or where they are now. They only described this person as the new John or Mount Zion. I also didn't ask further questions, as I believed that at the right time they would choose to tell me more. When Jason taught the accusation against Christianity being corrupt, my own beliefs were shaken, a struggle. I really wanted to confirm whether the things he taught were correct, so I spent a lot of time reviewing what they taught, but I never found a definite answer. It was also difficult to confirm that they were a cult, because at the time they appeared to be biblical and believed in the crucifixion of Jesus. In November, Hailey told our group her real name. She explained that she would use a pseudonym because her aunt was connected to the Chinese church in Auckland. She had conflicts with her aunt over her faith, and her aunt told others to be aware of her. Therefore, she could only continue the work of God and lead others to read the Bible by using a pseudonym.
Holy shit. They're so deceptive. See, like they work off the premise that they're being persecuted, so they have to be careful. And then she's telling this newbie, right, Vanessa, the young one here, and this, this lady here, right, and this is Hailey, and she's telling her that, like, my aunt is telling everybody to be careful of me because she doesn't like what I believe in, right, and SCJ, so she's got to use a pseudonym to talk. about the Bible studies. That's like all these warnings things should, bells should friggin' start ringing at this point. Shifter saying, I was taught about this crap in the 1960s. Yeah, I mean, like, I was looking, I think about maybe late 1990s and early 2000s when I was looking at cults, right? And so that's what I mean. Like, so when I went down, my brain basically went, this is a cult straight away. And it was like the one time I went, and that was like 2 hours later, I was out of there. Bye. See ya. No more. And yeah, and I think it's just so easy to be caught up in it because of the loneliness that we are now feeling because of technology, right? We say technology brings people closer. That really doesn't. It actually makes us further apart because we spend more time like sitting and looking at our screens than we are talking to each other. And we kind of like think, rather than actually calling each other and telling each other what's going on, we just expect people to know what we're doing because we're online all the time. Like I know I'm online all the time. But I'm always in contact with people as well, like, text or DMs, because I want to make sure all is good. And of course, and with all the business and stuff, like even this morning, right, I got got 4 pages from our comic book from Sweden, right, and characters, and I was like so excited. I was like, put a smile on my face, and I messaged back to Joachim, and I said, man, you have no idea how big the smile on my face is right now, watching these characters I created and wrote and imagined and then put onto paper, and now you've drawn them friggin' up. Like I was looking at the bunny girl, which I haven't shared because I wanted to be a surprise, and I was looking at her and I'm like, this is so friggin' cool. It doesn't look like any other bunny girl that anybody's ever done, out there, and it looks so original. And I'm like, I wanted our work to be original, to be totally different, to even though it's fantasy, that I want it to look different, and so it's just, yeah, I just feel like we do need to, still be in contact with human beings despite the connection with technology, because in real, the real conversations, like one-on-one, face-to-face conversations with people, because if we lose that because of technology, we'll forget how to communicate properly, and the nuances and human behaviors we'll lose it. Also, when we lose that, we also lose our intuitiveness about each other and about other humans, right? And so we become very susceptible to cults and stuff like that, and manipulation. And I've been watching online stuff, right, over the last year, especially some couple groups in the comic scene, and it's watching how people are manipulating other people and how jealousy. And I'm like sitting there going, I am so glad I stayed away from all this. I'm just so glad. I just sort of like, we just stick with our own. We just create our own stuff and we just carry on. But yeah, yeah, and these tactics work, right? As if you're saying, like these tactics work with the whole, passing them along up the ladder. And the other thing is, when she was talking about suspicion of her aunt and stuff, what it also means is like, it's that whole, we're part of a secret group. Only we know the truth, and you feel special. We're part of the hive mind, right? It's just us, guys. Everybody's against us, so we have to stay together, right? Yeah, yeah. That's the other thing that was like. That's why I'm like doomsday cult, right? I still, Shifter writes, I still remember the dudes on the corners with the signs, the end is nigh, and they've been doing it since so long, right? And that's why I say it's a doomsday cult, because like whenever people focus on death and the end of the world, that's when you have to be really careful to not listen to what they're saying or be wary of them. Because like, oh, the world's going to end soon. It's like people were saying that like, maybe like 200-300 years ago, thousands of years ago, right? Because the weather's going crazy until it's ending. Until a meteor does crash, we're good, right? I mean, we got tsunamis. Peru put up a clip the other day, yesterday I think it was, of Peru, right? We looked at that 27th of December. There's tsunami in Peru. So crazy weather's been around all the time, right? And so every time something like that happens, you know, the worst thing is like tragedies, and everybody just jumps on there and starts writing Bible quotes, you know, on there. It's like, oh, you know, this and that. I'm like, dude, just say, you know, you feel bad for them, and hopefully they get through this. That's all people need at that time. Not, you know, you need Jesus, you need God, you need Muhammad, you need Allah. No, people just need to know that you care, and that's it at that point. Maybe later they'll think about it, but right now they need, you know, to know that you're concerned, and they can share that you're sharing in their fears and worries. All right, back to the auntie who is very suspicious of Hailey.
One time when I met with S, I asked whether Hailey was already using this name when she met her about a year ago. She wouldn't answer me directly. When I returned to Auckland for the Christmas break, I finally explained to my friends at church what I had learned over the past year. They mentioned SCJ, so I checked them out online and found out that the group I was with was a part of them.
Wow.
After researching more, I confirmed that they were a cult. Although they hadn't taught me the extreme teachings at the time, I realized how they were trying to gradually lead me to believe in their leader. Once I knew that, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and left the group with no regrets. The first photo of the 9 of us getting together for the first time. I remember asking Hailey for it because I wanted to show it to my parents. She replied after 2 days. I noticed Jason was cut out of the photo. Looking back at a group of 9 people, I've since learned only 3 of us were not already SCJ members.
Wow. So 6 of them were basically cultists already. And this is Jason here that's been cut out, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's a 9. That is very, very suspicious. When the fact that you're hiding somebody, it's almost like, I don't want to say it. Never mind, we'll go carry on.
The others were just pretending to be students, pretending not to know Jason's teaching. In fact, each of them really deserves an Oscar. All of them are movie stars, especially S. When I recall all the conversations I had with her, I think about how many of them were filled with lies. Even though some time has passed, I'm still in disbelief that this happened. I managed to stumble across a cult and even studied with them for more than 10 months.
Shit.
After I realized they were a cult, my first response wasn't to blame myself, but rather to thank God. This is because God finally answered my prayers. I had been praying about my doubts towards this group for 6 months. God answered me in 2021 when I chose to leave the cult. I'm grateful that God created me to be so stubborn. Brainwashed by Shincheonji for 10 months, but still able to hold onto the truth and to learn more about my faith. Thanks to God's care and grace, I'm able to still feel loved and be proud of being a Christian. I'm thankful to them too, because they made me spend a lot of time studying the Bible, checking it, and becoming firmer in my faith. I'm not ashamed of this experience, because my experience can help others, reminding everyone to be vigilant, knowing that cults are near us. As Christians, we really need to understand the Bible well and be strong in our faith so that it will not be shaken. Although there was a period when I was blaming myself for lacking in knowledge compared to them and for not understanding teachings of the Bible, I was grateful to God for constantly reminding me that His grace was sufficient for me. Although this was an unfortunate event, by the grace of God, it became something that...
So this is Wellington Parliament building. For those watching, that's where she was. That's where this happened to her for 10 months. That's a whole school year.
Grew me. If you are reading this and have already been deceived by someone, I hope it doesn't lead you to lose faith in people or in God. I hope that you won't feel ashamed because you have been deceived. I hope it will not stop you from seeking God. Cults like to target people who seriously seek God, but God sees our true desire for Him. Our brothers and sisters in Christ will support.
So, like I said, right, if you are wanting to know about Christianity or religion, get the book. So she was basically manipulated because she didn't know enough, and they basically knew how to combat her because they knew enough, and to twist it to make her, brainwash her into believing what they're doing. But she's so lucky to be, to be able to get out of it, and having her friends basically go, "Oh, is that what you're talking about? Oh, let me tell you, this probably is these guys," and then being able to find that out. But that sucks, man. Like, I mean, going through that for 10 months. So it's actually a channel here, and you guys can check it out. It's called Free of Shincheonji. And let me bring that up. Let's go have a look at this entire channel. Because I didn't know there was a channel for it, but there it is. Let's go look at another one. It's their most recent one. It's a long one. So where's it's English? English. Let me see if there's an English one. Let me just try this one.
제가 자꾸 거부하니까 계속 편지를 쓴 겁니다. 안 된다. 이래서는 안 된다. 그래도 나는 당신을 사랑한다.
Nope. They're looking at the.
어떻게 쫓아냈다는 사람이 얼마 전
같이 외부에서 뭐 여기저기 구경 다니고 얘기하고 뭐 농담도 하고 이러다가 이제 같이 제가 기거하는 센터로 오게 됩니다. 오게 되면 그냥 피곤하다고 쉬게 되고 그럼 제가 어른인데 총회장인데 가세요. 이렇게 말할 수?
Let me see if there's any other ones here that short but sweet. Where are we? When I was the cult. Oh, here we go. So that's who I was looking at, who this pastor was, like they were talking about here. So this is a former leader. It's a long one. What's the short one? I just thought it's. Let's have a quick look at this dude. I guess former leader from them, right? And then we'll finish up soon, and then I'll leave the link there so you guys can watch the rest of it. We're coming at about 2 hours, and I kind of wanted to keep it at 2 hours here. But let's have a listen to this gentleman. This is. Let's hope it's in English.
Liebe Jong, wir danken dir dafür, dass du dich bereit erklärt hast, an diesem Interview teilzunehmen. Du warst.
Nope. I'll leave that for you guys to look at. It's not in English. Let me see if I can find another English one. English. All right, here we go. So this is a different one, but all those other ones have like from that channel has English translations, but they don't, they're subtitles not.
For those of you that are watching.
Right. So this is from a channel called Alexander Pagini Live. And what is the video title? It goes, former cult member exposes New Heaven, New Earth, Shincheonji Church. So let's watch a couple of that, and I'll put the link in the chat so you guys can watch the rest of it later. So the one I put up already. Nope, this is a new one. All right, here we go. Let's go to start. Let's get my volume right. Let's go halfway, so it's not too loud for you guys and not too loud for me.
SCJ Church, Shincheonji Church. You've been involved in Shincheonji Church for quite some time, and you're now out. You come from a Christian background, and then you end up in a cult. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was involved with SCJ for about 2.5 years, and how I was recruited was actually on a dating app back in 2018. I met a girl, and we started dating for a few months, and she just invited me to what seemed to be an innocent Bible study. At the time, I was in between churches, and I was really hungering for more of the Word of God. And so this Bible study started out with once a week to like twice a week to sometimes even 3 times a week for a few hours per session.
Wow.
And it went from like, it was only supposed to be a month or two to an entire year.
Whoa.
So this Bible study really started in October 2018 and ended in October 2019. I would say the first third of the Bible study is pretty normal stuff that you would hear in a Christian Bible study, right? And then but however, I wasn't discerning. Now that I have 2020 vision, I realized that even at the start, they would say these very subtle things that wouldn't really line up with scripture. They kind of make an emphasis on prophecy and fulfillment, which isn't necessarily wrong, but then it kind of asks you questions on like, okay, well, what does it mean to really wait for the second coming of Christ? How are you sure that you're not going to recognize Jesus when he returns?
Right.
When as a Bible believing Christian, you should know that when Jesus returns, it's not going to be a secretive event.
No.
It's going to be a global, obvious event.
Right.
So, and then, so when I joined this church, another important detail is that halfway through this Bible study, me and the then girlfriend, we broke up. And 6 months later, in October 2019, it turns out that she was a part of this group the entire time and that she was lying to me.
Wow.
So that she could, I mean, I do believe that she was just trying to genuinely save me. I don't think she only dated me just to like recruit me.
Right.
But that also means that she was lying to me about her affiliation with this Bible study. She was reporting on me. So anything that I would say and share with her, she would report it to the cult. And then to make things even worse, it turns out that half the people in this class are current members known as leaves who are spying on the new members known as fruits. So like, let's say I would have a question like, oh, you know, I really doubt this passage. And then coincidentally, the next class iteration, the teacher would actually talk about that. And I'll be like, oh, wow, I guess the Holy Spirit must be through this due to naivety on my part.
Wow.
And there's also another psychological thing called the Ash conformity test. Now, imagine if you're in a classroom and everyone's like, amen, hallelujah. You're kind of thinking to yourself like, wait, what's the matter with me? Why am I not getting this? You know what? I'm going to study harder. I'm competitive. I love reading. I love studying. So I'm like, no, I can't let this guy or gal beat me in knowledge.
What's the byproduct of that?
Yeah. So normally either those people would leave or they would, again, so there's like an entire Telegram group chat dedicated to the new students. And the new students, they're normally not aware of this. So there's an ongoing conversation behind their back, screenshots of text messages, any phrases that are being said, like everything that you say and do in these Bible studies are normally recorded for the sake of, okay, how can we, what they may call, buy this person's field or heart? How can we convince them? And, oh, well, this person likes to play video games, do anime. So they'll even curtail things without the permission of the new student to try to like kind of win them over to the group. And this is all being done without the new person being aware. Wow. So I think that's very manipulative, very secretive. And if they do that to you when you are even in the Bible studies, I can guarantee you that they do that to you when you join the group. And guess what? They actually do.
You know, we're going to flesh that out in a little bit, but the Apostle Paul actually talked about this. You know, as me and you were talking the last couple of months and off camera before the interview, it's actually a violation of I believe what the Apostle Paul said in the book of Corinthians. He says we are not those that hold the word of God with craftiness. That word craftiness is a Greek word for manipulation.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like you're not supposed to lie. You're not supposed to hide. You're supposed to be very open about what you're doing, right? What your belief system is. It's like, what?
So it kind of sounds like, you know, there's some manipulative proselytizing techniques, because this is not evangelism. This is
Right.
proselytization. This is proselytizing, which is trying to win people over to a particular ideology or the
Yep.
philosophies of a particular group. Do you think, based on you being in the group, that it's evangelism or it's more proselytizing?
Proselytizing, and let me drive this point home too. They believe that lying is okay. They redefine what a lie is as long as you don't add and subtract to God's word. So they will lie to you about how they believe in the Trinity, how they believe that Jesus is God. That is not true. They deny the Trinity. They say that it was made up in the Council of Nicaea. They deny the deity of Christ. However, there are internal trainings of like even approaching pastors of saying like, even if the pastor believes that in Jesus being God, we should not disagree with them, but instead we should say, yes, we think so too. So they will straight up lie to you. They have front groups that sound Christian in order to entice you to join this group. When I joined this group, I would ask, okay, what's the name? Either they would try avoiding the question, or they'll give me like a Christian sounding name, like Word of Life School of Theology, which is still an active front group to the saying. And cult expert Stephen Hayson actually called out that website saying this is run by Shincheonji. And it's still around. It's still around.
Wow. For those of you that are watching, we are discussing former cult member of Shincheonji Church, aka SCJ Church, but known in these Christian streets as New Heaven and New Earth Church. Now, why are we targeting this? Well, because they targeted our church. Amazing Church Global in New York City was targeted by this particular group. Initially, they were coming on Wednesday night Bible studies, and I noticed them in the church service. After a while, they would kind of dialogue with me after the service with an interest for Bible study. And there was just something about their aggressive approach that my discernment and my alarm bells went off on the inside. And Chris, maybe you could kind of flesh this out. They asked me for my personal cell phone number. Now, I don't know about anyone else. I don't visit a church. I usually ask for what is the church phone number? You know, what are the ministry phone numbers that we can call to a church? No, they asked me for my personal cell phone number. But because I'm from the Bronx, I'm from the Bronx, I was like, I don't know you. I'm not giving you my phone number, but we could have Bible study. So what is your personal email? And it was at that point that I felt that it was a little bit too aggressive. It seemed like it was coerced language in the email. And as I began to dig a little bit, I hit the jackpot. They were from SCJ Church. And at that point, the video is somewhere on my social media handles. You know, I just publicly exposed them. You know, talk to me a little bit about this targeted. How does SCJ Church view the Christian Orthodox churches that we come from? How do they view them?
Let me go ahead and do a brief explanation of what SCJ believes, because I need to bring the context, and then I can go to how they view Christianity, okay? So basically what happened is what they actually believe is that in 1966, God chose to restore the truth to which had been lost to a group of 7 men in South Korea. And these 7 men formed another group named the Tabernacle Temple, which fell away due to apostasy and betrayed. So God and Jesus had to choose another person, Lee Man-hee, to set up the truth through Shincheonji in 1984. And so when they talk about the new heavens and new earth, it's not to be understood literally, but refer to the passing away of the traditional churches to be replaced by God's kingdom of Shincheonji. That's why I want to get into context. So this actually contradicts Matthew 16 verses 18 to 19, where Jesus said to Peter, "And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades or hell will not overcome it." Well, hold on a second. Jesus broke his promise to Peter according to SCJ theology.
Come on.
And on top of that, how they view Christian pastors and Christians, they hate them. I would just say this. They refer to Christianity as spiritual Israel, Babylon, house full of demons, pastors who are drunk with maddening wine, pastors who are married to Satan. For people like myself, who chose to leave SCJ because of biblical reasoning, they refer to me as a dog who returns to his own vomit. A wallow who returns to the mud. And just to add even more to this, they have you sign a book of life, and in this book of life, it's like a pledge to Shincheonji. And
yeah, remember what I was saying about? I thought that was really weird how they had to sign the pledge. way back when we were looking at Aussie, right? When that girl's father was talking about it. All right, and we'll finish with this one. We'll come back to this in part 4. I think this is going to be cool to actually have this full on, ex-member, right?
Hold on a second. They have you sign legitimately
Mhm.
a book of life.
It's their church registry. Yep. And depending on the region that you're from, I recall I gave them like my passport for like a photo ID. And on top of that, they also like some of the contents of this are just like nerve wracking, man. One of them says like, I will never deny them being a CJ despite any tribulation or persecution.
Wait.
Persecution.
Wait. Remember when that reporter, was it Conrad? Can't remember, when he was going up and asking that lady, those two who were Africans who were asking the African girl who was just sitting down chatting, are you from Shincheonji? She said no, and the other said no. It goes against their own friggin' belief system.
According to Shincheonji, they view YouTube comments as persecution. They view a Reddit as persecution. They view if you disagree with them theologically, you're persecuting and are filled with evil spirits.
Right.
They will even sometimes go on to say that like, oh my goodness, like even this video is persecution because
Sounds
I'm
like
just
Islamophobia.
sharing my experience with this group.
Right.
There are times where they do face legitimate persecution, and I can acknowledge that. But a lot of times they literally conflate criticism with persecution. It's kind of sad.
Wow.
And then other things that are in this book of life is I will never return to Babylon to wallow in the mud or return to my vomit. Like you can just hear Babylon is in reference to Christians and Christianity. You can just hear the hatred sometimes that
And not
just
just
from
the
that
hate,
statement.
not just the hatred, but distortion of
Yeah.
pure biblical Christian orthodoxy and sound doctrine.
Right.
Let me ask you this question. With this type of theology being prepared.
All right, we'll leave that for today, and we'll come back to a part 4. I thought, I did have a part 4 planned, but then I don't know how I'm going to get that. Somehow I'll try to get part 2 of that New Zealand news reporting, a report. We covered part 1, but then part 2 disappeared, right? And says it's not available in your part of the country. I'm like, but I'm in New Zealand. And why am I not seeing it? So hopefully I can someone's got it somewhere online. Maybe what it's called, the Wayback Machine might have it, might be able to look at it that way. But we'll be back with part 4 next time. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm learning so much, man, and hopefully you guys are learning so much about how cults work. All right, don't give up your rights. Do not give up your rights and your autonomy as a human being and as an individual, right? Because it's just crazy. Anyway, but I mean, like, you'll believe what you want to believe, but don't be part of something that's going to control your entire life in a way that brings you grief and makes you depressed, like Vanessa, right? 10 months of her life being lied to, being manipulated, where she thought these people were her friends, turned out they weren't. They just wanted her to be part of them, part of a group. By the way, there's only 144,000 are supposed to go into heaven, this new heaven of theirs. So what happens, all the other 300,000 or the other around the world, or 200,000, whatever it is at this moment around the world? What happens to them? That's the fear. I was like, that's the thing of cults, right? Some are so far gone that like they take their own lives if something happens, and they think it's because it's going to go into heaven now, and it's just crazy. Anyway, thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Ka kite anō. Have an awesome day, week, wherever you are, man. Make the best of your day or evening, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.